Yes, Adjetey, yes, straight into business. And you know, you're one of the few actors whose Christian faith is publicly known. And we would want to know this morning, because we want to make a difference in whatever space we find ourselves in. Does your faith in any way influence your interactions with colleagues and your approach to your work in the entertainment industry, first of all? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. My faith is my go-to space. That informs anything that I do because if I don't, then I don't have a foundation. I don't have motivation, and sometimes there's a temptation for the other to be our work to really determine our choices, our lifestyle. But for me, faith is my go-to space and influences whatever that I do. As basic as when people, because we're under the spotlight, we feel sometimes as if we're demigods because sometimes we go to certain spaces and people are hailing us. Sometimes people say that they hail us even more than the president because opposition will always make the president's status a bit, stained. And so we have this tendency of sometimes, okay, we meet fellow people who want to even take simple selfies, pictures with us, because they're excited to see us. And the temptation is like you're sizing them in your mind and okay, I don't think that you deserve to be in my profile pictures because I want a certain class, and therefore we in our minds we look down on people. We might find it very, very simple excuse why we can't take the picture, but what is informing that is warped. It's because we're looking down on people, and that temptation is there. We attain a certain pedestal, high pedestal as it were. We're in a certain high class, so we're selective in people who should be in our albums, who should be in our profile pictures, etc. And and yet, who the highest class? Jesus was the highest that you can ever think of. He was, he is, and will forever be. And when he came down here, look at the people he mingled with. That is a typical example of him showing us that look. And that's why I marvel at when people go to church and they say that we are killing our enemies. We'll kill our enemies today. Jesus didn't kill his enemies. He actually asked us to love our enemies. Those are all examples for us to know that look, even the highest of highest can come humble himself, and he's teaching us to humble ourselves. So even the basic interactions like that, whether directly or indirectly, I'm getting these examples on how not to look on people, down on people. No matter how high I go, these same people have patronized, my products, have patronized my movies, etc. They have contributed in lifting me up where I am, and the best I can do is be excited when they're excited around me, and want to be actually request for a picture, even So it informs everything that I do. Every day on set is a battle. It's never like if you've won the battle and the war is over. Every day has a challenge, and you go back to your faith that what's the difference I'm making in this space? There's so many cultures that are prevalent in our workspaces, and the acting space is a world in its own. There's so many things that have been entrenched, and so it's so easy for me. I don't know you from anywhere, but first we're meeting on set, and I can hug and we take these things very, very. We feel, oh, we're Ghanaians, that's how we are. But no, it's a language. You can only do that to people who have given you the room to do that, or you have a certain rapport with people. And we take advantage of just the fact that we're all in a space where we're playing different characters, so it's okay, it's normal. But then it spills over. And before people are touching people's butts and things, and you're wondering, okay, this is the challenge that you're facing. And it's so normal that if you're not a part of you're the odd one out. But constantly, and that's why I need to go back to my faith to find inspiration, to find motivation that I'm chosen. I'm supposed to make a difference, and therefore I can't be mixed up in there. And then when they're looking for Adjetey, we can't find it. I need to stand out, and that's why He chose us specifically. So in a nutshell, my faith does influence whatever that I do out there.
How long have you been doing this? Just out of
let's just say
curiosity.
over 20 years.
Over 20 years, is because I know I was quite young when I was watching you, yes, on set. So, Have you always been like this, or maybe there was a point in your life that you said, "Hey, I can't go on doing this. Maybe I need to start living my life in a different way." Has it always been? Have you always been in the flow? Maybe you're born in a Christian home, so it's like these values, how you've imbibed the values. So, it's not like you're putting a lot of effort to get these things done, or do you actually do things intentionally to make sure you stand up, to make sure you make a difference? I'm curious to know.
It was never smooth sailing. As life will have it, there are always ups and downs, and that has been my typical journey. Um, Even as I say all these things, I'm not creating the impression that it's been a perfect scenario. No, I've had my challenges, I have my weaknesses, I have places where I've fallen. Um, but it starts with even nurturing, and it's something that as parents and would-be parents in the near future, we should be very, um, you know, uh, we should be. What's the word? I'm missing the word. We should be, for want of a better word, careful when we look at there's something called family patterns. Every family does have a certain pattern. I know my next neighbor, and when we're in Salabadi Estate, it's the Boozman house. I mean, father is drunk, son is drunk, uncle is drunk. That's the law. That's their party. Our party in my family was that relationships don't work. Out of 8 children, we have only one marriage that is standing, and even that has its own daily challenges. That tells you and that tells me that okay, there's a battle to be fought, and therefore, going ahead, these are some of the challenges that I have. Unfortunately, when you are in those spaces, and I grew up in a communal setting, a compound house where, we the girls were set to stay in our father's house till they die and take over the house. And so we bring in all our wives and our children. So uncles and aunties all have their own way of upbringing, and the perception and the principles that they have of bringing up children, etc. And you're in that space and you're picking bits and pieces. It's informing your foundation. You notice how my uncle is speaking to the wife as if she's a non-entity. I'm picking that, even though I don't like it. It's in here. I'm seeing abuse. I'm seeing in all forms. And they're in their own world, but they don't even know that they're having an impact on us, the young ones, even in that space. And so I grew up. I have this example which in my mind, no, it's a bad example, it's a terrible example. I cannot do that. I need to be different. But mind you, I haven't dealt with that psychological, information that I've been in a natural. And so over time, when I come into a world in a space where that becomes, that's a norm. I can relate to this because my uncle did, and I observed this when I was in my childhood. Then before you realize, if you don't put in all those personal boundaries, etc., then you also are, indulging in those practices. And so it is important that, and I'm saying this because later on I realized these family patterns and the impact that it had on my life and some of my friends and my relatives. And so it hasn't been smooth sailing for me. There have been challenges, and I got to a point where I needed to make deliberate choices because it's not just free flow. I'm a Christian, and so let's just go out there. But what choices am I making? What are the personal boundaries, especially where you have a lot of funds coming our way? How do you even deal with those funds? How do you not lead people on so that you're practicing something that you shouldn't be practicing? Why am I here? I mean, daily, that's the question that I ask myself every day, so that I don't, get mixed up in the world. And it's a very, very sensitive, position, especially when you realize and believe that you've been called for a certain purpose, and for you to daily revisit that so that you don't lose your way. But even when you lose your way, you must get back in line so that you continue the work that you've been called to do.